Hello, just a refresher. I am focusing on number sense for kindergarten. So here are the standards for kindergarten. The overall umbrella for this one that I'm focusing on is students will communicate number sense concepts using multiple representations to reason, solve problems, and make connections within mathematics and across disciplines. The article that I chose today is going to focus a little more on the math standard right here, use one-to-one correspondence when counting objects to show the relationship between numbers and quantities of 0 to 20. The last one I did focus more on counting. This time I tried to focus on something a little different and do the one-to-one correspondence because that's also a huge part of kindergarten. So we're going to get rid of this here. The article that I did for this week is bottle caps, about bottle caps basically, and taking those into pre-kindergarten and using them. So bottle caps as pre-kindergarten mathematical tools. So this article basically, in short, discusses how students in preschool brought in bottle caps that they had saved at home, and they'd use those as manipulatives prior to bringing in like district provided manipulatives. So it got them going on what we use manipulatives for, and it made it a little bit more important or a little bit more engaging for them because they actually brought in those manipulatives. They took the time to collect them and they got to bring them into school, so it was a little bit more engaging for them, a little bit more personal. And I have had a tough time finding articles that are directed at kindergarten, but I've found that these pre-kindergarten articles focus a lot on things that we're doing right now in kindergarten, so I've been able to relate them back and forth. So as I go through here, you're going to see lots of highlighted things. There was a lot of really good information in this article. So pre-kindergarten is an optimal time for young children to use objects of play as a medium to explore new cognitive concepts, including mathematical structure. So these manipulatives help them explore and hang on to that math a little bit more than just being told those concepts. So down here, the importance that I was talking about in using those manipulatives, students need opportunities to connect verbal representations of math to the physical, visual, contextual, and symbolic representations because language is critical in students' ability to develop concepts of cardinal numbers. That's kind of a lot all in one sentence, but basically students have to relate what they're doing in math to, they hear it, they see it, I say they need to feel it, basically. So they're saying those numbers, they're seeing those numbers, but they need to feel them. They need to feel counting them. They take those manipulatives and they count out the numbers, and they do that one-to-one. They need to feel that number coming out of their mouth and associating it with what their hands are doing. I have found that truly helps them. It helps it stick into their brain. So right here, as I explained earlier, throughout the school year, students collected these plastic bottle caps, and they brought them into school, and they got to use those as manipulatives. That made it super important for them. It kind of related it back to their personal life. They got to be responsible and collect those bottle caps, and then they got to do math with it. It just makes it cool for them, and a little bit more personal. Down here, they talked about starting to focus on those 5 frames and 10 frames, which is exactly what we're doing in kindergarten right now. 5 frames and 10 frames are used as structures to assist in the developmental understanding of number relationships. So right now in kindergarten, we're using 5 frames to help us decode numbers 6 through 10. So we're understanding that numbers 6 through 10 are a 5 group and extra. So 6 is 5 and 1. 7 is 5 and 2. And we use 5 frames for students to show that, to pick that out, that those numbers are 5 and some more. So right now we've seen 5 frames. So to read that this is all happening in pre-kindergarten in some places is kind of a breath of fresh air for me because students are getting a glimpse of this before they come to kindergarten, and then they're not so overwhelmed with what they're doing when they come. So this was a really cool article for me to read through, and I'm excited to dive a little bit more into this.